Ofik, thank you very much for coming and speaking with us. And on behalf of the Jewish community in the United States, I'm very sorry for what happened at the kibbutz and for your loss of friends and kidnapped people. Tell us, where were you on October 7th and what were you experiencing?
So on October 6th, I went to work. I work in the kibbutz. When I came home, I went to my mom's house to, eat and sleep there. So I came home at 4 a.m., stayed up, and then 2 hours later there was rocket alarms going on. Then we started to notice that this rocket attack, so that was about 5 a.m. We started noticing that this rocket attack was very long. They kept shooting consistently. There was a video going around on Instagram, actually. I just went to check my phone randomly, of terrorists in Sderot shooting civilians. And so I thought it was fake, because we know that it's not possible for them to cross the border all the way to Sderot. Me and my mom were laughing about it, and then about 15 minutes later we heard the gunshots in the kibbutz, which we now know is the first fallen victim, who was an 80-year-old woman. She's a grandmother to one of my friends who also got murdered. There was a lot of panicking in the kibbutz's WhatsApp groups. People were saying, "Oh, I hear Arabic, I hear shots, I see them," and because you know where everyone lives, you have an idea of where they're coming from, and we just realized that they're coming from basically everywhere. It started out as people saying, "I hear them," to them saying, "I see them," to them saying they're in our house, and then you just lost connection with them. And that's actually how people got murdered, and that's how we found out about people.
That they just weren't responding.
They just weren't
anymore.
responding at one point. After they said they're seeing them, they're in the house, and then nothing. For about 4 hours, there was no army present. It was just whoever was in the area with a gun went in to fight.
Was it surprising to you that there was no army present?
Yes, because I know that the army is supposed to be there in 5 minutes, usually, top 7. And those 4 hours were actually where all the victims were. The only reason they haven't wiped the kibbutz completely was because when they went to Mefalsim, I have a friend there who is an officer in the army, and he was fighting them, and on one of them he found a notebook and with information about where everyone live, where the children are, how many children are in each house.
Did they target the kids?
They targeted the kids.
Why? What did
Because
they want? They wanted to murder them or kidnap them?
They wanted to murder and kidnap them to inflict as much humanitarian damage as possible. Mm-hmm. And for them, that case was to kill the kids and the babies and the women. And everything was recorded. They had body cams showing everything. There's people from Gaza who come to work in Israel. They have a permit, and they were the ones who gave the information. They found evidence of that in Nativ HaAsara, one of the kibbutzes. Some guy that lives in the kibbutz who is from Gaza originally, but he was working in the kibbutz for 30 years. They found a map in his room where everyone lives with information.
There were Palestinian workers who, for many weeks or even months
or years, were gathering information,
gathering intelligence to give to Hamas.
To sell it to Hamas.
A lot of the kibbutzniks on Kfar Aza and throughout the whole area, they were peace activists.
Yeah, something about the kibbutzes is because we live so close. There's this illusion of peace, because if we don't get hurt by them, then no one else is, because we are the first line. So because there was relative quiet, the only thing that wasn't quiet was Hamas shooting rockets at civilian areas every month, every few months. And that kind of gave us the picture that Hamas is bad, but the Palestinians are innocent. But then on October 7th, there was Palestinians, civilians who came into Israel with axes, with knives, with rocks, with anything to kill and do whatever they want.
Did you see them on the kibbutz?
I saw their bodies in the kibbutz after when I left the area.
You saw Hamas terrorists
and
plus Palestinian civilians.
Civilian children.
What were they doing there?
Whatever they wanted. I saw bodies of hijab wearing women in the kibbutz. So it wasn't just Hamas doing this. As soon as the gates were open, everyone went in.
Why would
they were allowed to do whatever they want? They can go in. If they want to steal money, they can. If they want to steal people and then sell them to Hamas, they can.
There's something very deep about that kind of hatred.
Hamas is an ideology. It's not just an organization. It's an ideology that is very easy to adopt when you're in a bad state of life. like many Palestinians are. And it makes them forget that the reason they're so poor and sad and impoverished is because Hamas is doing this to them. But the Hamas ideology is actually give them a victim. Same way the Nazis would victimize Jews to show the Germans that the reason you are suffering is because of the Jews. Hamas was doing the exact same thing for many years. So this ideology kind of grew in, and kids would rehearse in school how to kidnap people. But this wasn't new to us. For when I went to Zikim Beach once. Zikim Beach is a beach right connected to Gaza, and there was a bunch of one day we found a notebook on the beach that is a guide of how to be a shaheed for kids with pictures and everything. And
a shaheed is a martyr.
Shaheed for them is a martyr.
Is a martyr, yeah.
I can't read Arabic, but the pictures were clear. It was just killing people, Jewish people, Israeli people. Doesn't matter who it is, and that's how you're gonna get to heaven. That's what they believe in. Same way as you believe in God, they believe that killing brings them to heaven.
You have Sunny here, who looks like she's taking a little bit of a nap after devouring that ball over there. Why'd you bring her? What does she play any role in your story?
Yeah. So, Sunny was when I finished the army. I took Sunny in a bit before that, and she's my companion. When I went to work, she was with me. She was always with me, and she's very friendly to the people in the kibbutz. Everyone knows her. Everyone loves her. So because her breed is a guard dog, so usually when someone knocks on the door, she barks and makes noises immediately. This time she didn't. When the terrorists came to our home and tried to breach the doors, she was completely silent. And that connected to the fact we had no car in the garage because we moved it to clean for the holiday. And I also disconnected all the electricity so they wouldn't find us. That all together made them just skip the house and go to the roof. So they actually stayed, instead of going into the house, they went to the roof and shot from there.
They were up on your roof for 4 hours or so?
For about 2 hours.
2 hours.
On the roof. Then the IDF killed them, and the IDF went to the roof to fight. Our neighborhood was a complete firefight for 10 hours maybe. There was no clear control from any side.
So had Sunny done what she normally did, which is to guard you
they would
and to
go
bark,
in, yeah.
What would happen?
They would come in. They knew that where there's a dog, there's a family probably. So they would probably try to breach in and find us.
How do you explain that?
I don't.
Did you try to keep her quiet? Did you?
No, I couldn't. I was holding the door and having a knife, so I couldn't really tend to her. She was standing on top of my mom, and she looked in the door with focused ears and eyes, and she knew the situation. She understood it because we were both afraid, and she was ready to defend us. And she's not an army dog. She's just.
Tell me, I want to ask you. There was a lot of sympathy for Israel in the first 2 or 3 days or so, and ever since. The main story in the West is Israel's response and the suffering of the Palestinians, which is a legitimate part of the story, but the whole context has been lost. When you see anti-Israel marches in the West, you spent some time in Europe living there yourself. Yeah. What's your reaction? What do you feel?
I think everyone is marching against Israel are misunderstanding what Free Palestine means and what it should mean. The ones who control Palestine are not Israel, it's Hamas. They control it. There's evidence of them controlling it. Even Gazans themselves speak against Hamas now, which is something that hasn't been done for years because they were just being killed on the spot as soon as they spoke. And those marches that are supposed to be to free the Palestinian people from Hamas became marching to kill Israel. That's all they are. There's nothing of peace. There's no logic behind it. There's no facts behind it. There's no process of thought going behind it. It's all about we're going to show solidarity against Israel, against the Jewish people.
This is happening most intensely on university campuses, and
I think those universities.
And the more elite the campus is, the more intense the anti-Israel feelings are.
It's because the people that are like from Harvard, for example, they think that they know that what they research and what they conclude to is the best thing they can find because they're the smartest and they're in the most luxurious places. But it's actually those people who are the downfall of education. You know, Harvard used to be the peak of education, Oxford used to be the peak of education, now it's the downfall of it because they allow this to happen. And all the information is there, you know.
Do you think there's an element of anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism?
The people who are against us, they don't care about being called anti-Semitic. They don't think it's something bad. People don't understand what it actually means, and I understand what it means because I've seen with my own eyes what it means. It means walk house to house, kill everyone, and keep moving. That's what it means. There's no other definition to it.
Do you want to go back and live in Kfar Aza?
Yeah, definitely.
Do you think you will?
I will. When it also depends on the outcome of the war. Because if we're gonna go back to another, if nothing is gonna be done and Hamas is not gonna die and you know the ideology of Hamas is not gonna get rooted out, then that means that in 60 years when my kids are gonna grow up, this is gonna happen again to them, and it's gonna be this time it's gonna be me defending my kids. Same thing again will happen. You know, they're not gonna stop until we're all dead, so we have to stop them. You know, it's us or them, and I choose us.
There is hope for the Jewish people. We've been around for thousands of years. They can't defeat us in the end. We're gonna stay around and protect ourselves and hopefully live a life of peace and tranquility for you. And when you go back to Kfar Aza, I want to go back to and be with you when we consecrate the new village.
It's a beautiful place. It's, you know, Kfar Aza is a beautiful place.
So I wish you success, many days of peace.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.